Hello everyone, welcome back to another session of Dark Souls PvP. I am back with another Battle of the Uploaders Xbox edition, this time with MrBrokeWilly. Now, Willy is an awesome Dark Souls player, and he doesn't, in my opinion, have nearly as many subscribers or views as he deserves to have. As you can see from as you'll be able to see from the video you're about to watch, he really is a very skilled player, and it would be awesome if you went and checked out his channel, because it's worth checking out. He's good. I mean, nothing wrong with watching some good content. I mean, hopefully that's why you're here, but nothing wrong with watching some other good content. So, that being said, let's get started with the builds. I am on my usual build that I've been on for forever now. It's my quality build. I've used it for quite a few videos now, and it's just 40 strength and 35 dexterity. So it's pretty much opposite of what most people would do for a quality build that has 35-40, but it works for me, so that's what I ended up doing. As far as the weapons I'm using, Barbed Straight Sword, Notched Whip, and Flamberge and Gold Tracer, all bleed weapons. This is pretty much my version of a bleed build. I'm able to fast roll, or I occasionally will medium roll with the Red Tear Stone on, and that's just what I'm doing. Although I don't think I used the medium roll and Red Tear Stone in this set of matches. I think that's a thing I've started doing more recently. Yeah, not really sure about that. We will see. So, his build is some form of a dexterity build, I think. I know that the server requires at least 24 strength, and I'm pretty sure it gets an A scaling in dexterity. I'm pretty sure. So I'm thinking he's on some form of a dexterity build. He's also got a katana for a few of the fights, and yeah, pretty positive he's on not on a dexterity build and not a quality. So, in a majority of these, as I said, he is using the server, which is the lesser used brother, cousin, whatever of the Murakumo. Lesser known relative of the Murakumo. That's what I'm trying to say. And really, it's a great weapon. It pretty much kicked my ass. I'm not good at fighting against Murakumos or things with that moveset in general, and I'm not good at fighting against spears. So he's got everything going on that I'm not good at fighting against. And aside from all that, for these first few matches, I was actually on the phone, doing the whole phone on the shoulder, head on the phone thing, you know, being an idiot, not thinking, oh, I can put it on speakerphone. No, I don't think of that. I just play with my head tilted sideways and get a cramp in my neck from it. So it really kind of threw me off for a little while, but that's my fault for not thinking and being stupid. And then it's my fault because I was playing Dark Souls while I was on the phone, because that's what my girlfriend said. I shouldn't be playing Dark Souls while I'm on the phone, and she is right. I'm sorry, honey. But she didn't get that mad. She understands. She's awesome like that. But yeah, all of that aside, enough of me rambling on about how great my girlfriend is. Sorry for anyone who's watching this right before Valentine's Day, Singles Awareness Day. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah. Let's switch that topic to something else, so no one gets sad. So he, right now, is using a spear. I believe it's the Winged Spear, which is one of my two favorites. Yep, that's the Winged Spear. Love that move he just did with it. It's a great spear. It's easily my favorite of the spear, and I've actually been going back and forth between it and the Partisan, actually switching between the two mid-fight. So that's something that really throws people off. Just a little bit of advice right there if you're interested in throwing people off. Now, I don't know why I went for that attack. I don't know what I was thinking. I think what I was trying to do was actually block, because this night was the first time in roughly a month or two, roughly 2 months I'm thinking is where it was, that I have dual wielded. It's not something that I do very often, but I have done it quite a bit in the past. I used to do it a lot with, right there I almost had that second parry. That would have been awesome. Get some back-to-back parry action. Would have been so great. Anyway, I used to dual wield a lot with Priscilla's dagger in the offhand and try and get that bleed to go off with that. But one time one of my friends who I was fighting against parried me, and I thought from then on, well, what can I do not to get parried? Because if I'm attacking twice as much using both sides, there's a better chance I'll get parried. Solution to that? Use something that can't get parried. Use the whip. And really, it's been quite effective. It's got a decent range to it, and it tracks enemies and opponents that you're fighting against pretty well. I mean, it's not great, but it's pretty well. It does pretty well. So, I'll go over the whips and stuff like that more when I do my little weapon showcase on them. That'll be the next video that I put up. In the meantime, now I can talk about the fights. Yay! So exciting! Give a little bit of play-by-play and all that good stuff. So, with the server, see, I'm even thinking Murakumo. It's just, it doesn't connect. Server. But, I don't know. With the server, he is not being too aggressive with it. He's moving around a lot, and really, I think part of that is because I'm being very aggressive with the whip. I'm occasionally using it when he's not really in hitting range, and I guess that kind of keeps him away from me. So it's really something that is really beneficial to me because he's either backing off or dodging, and it really kind of makes things a little easier on me because I hate fighting against weapons with this moveset. And man, that phantom hit range, that's just insane. That is just insane. I don't even know what to say about that one. I guess we had a bit of lag throughout these fights. I mean, can't really help it. These fights actually ended up happening starting at like 12 o'clock at night and going till 2 in the morning or so. So we were on for quite a while, and I started to, lose my mind a little bit towards the end. I started trying some crazy things, and they actually were surprisingly effective. So you'll see that. That was definitely interesting. I'm not sure if he included those last 2 fights on his video. I really hope he did. But man, I don't know what I was thinking and what made me try it, but it was so funny. And we were having a good time. We were actually talking while we were doing these matches, and we were having a great time with it. Actually, this is our second time fighting. The first time we fought, my video of it, the files got corrupted, so I would have liked to include them. I had some pretty great fights with him through those matches, but I don't really feel like working and trying to bring back corrupted files, and it's just a headache that I don't want. So we got a nice little kill on me with that winged spear, and moving on to the next fight. And still going with the same setups. I mean, it really actually is pretty fun learning and fighting against the same setup for a while, in my opinion, because that way you actually have to be more creative with the same setup. It forces you, because the person you're fighting is learning what you do. So it's really forcing you to work and come up with new tactics with whatever setup you're using. So instead of just switching weapons, you're actually keeping the same ones and learning how to use and come up with new tactics, which is pretty good. I mean, really, that's a good bit of creativity that you should have with PvP. You should be able to make up tactics on the spot, and really, it's something that's really hard to do, and I honestly kind of struggle with it. A lot of the time when I'm doing this stuff, I'm not doing it for the first time. I've actually practiced doing it on enemies in the game. Like my unlocked play, my running attacks, my backstep and running attack, or my backstep attacks, like what I did right there. I practiced stuff like that on the enemies in the game. And being able to come up with stuff on the fly in the middle of a match is really hard. It's really, really hard. Right there I was able to pick him off with the notched whip in the middle of his roll as he was coming up, I guess, technically. And really, that's a really good point about the whip. When it's in the offhand, it is really good at tracking enemies, and it's really not at all. It's horrible at doing that when you're using it in the main hand. It's just awful. So, rolling around a lot, he's being very defensive, and it's not to say it's annoying, but it's kind of annoying. It's kind of annoying. I mean, right there I see him break target lock and run away a little bit, and that's not going to work on me anymore. I've fallen for that against Martyr's Brigade too many times. I've fallen for that against a few other people. I've done that with spades. I've done that with random people. It just never ends well for me to follow someone who isn't target locked, and I think I've finally learned my lesson with that. It's just a bad idea. Just a bad idea all around. So, right there, breaking his guard, and unfortunately my reach with the barbed straight sword, stuttering over the B's, with my barbed straight sword, the range was not long enough after I broke his guard. So I couldn't end up getting him, and it didn't really work out so well. And right there, I kind of lost him when I was playing Unlocked. I had no idea where he went, so I just sort of swung and pressed the lock on, and there he was, and it got him. Yay, good luck. Oh man, that was completely luck. So right here, he's starting to dual wield a little bit too. He's got his dual washing poles. I think that's 2 washing poles. One might be a cast blade or something. I don't know what the other one is. Maybe an Uchi katana? I don't know. I can't tell. But either way, he tries to parry me, and it doesn't really work out for him. And after that little combo I got him, I'm like, when we were talking, I was like, so what was that about parrying me? So what was that about trying to parry me? And I was just coming after him with the whip, just saying that. So what was that? What was that? And it was funny. We were both getting a good laugh out of that, because after that combo, I was determined to kill him with the whip, and right there, got him. 20 health. He was surviving that long with 20 health. So yeah, that was a good fight right there. That was pretty fun. We both had a good laugh out of that, and yeah. So getting started with the next one, trying to do some of those unlocked R1 backstep R1 attack things. And really, I don't think I've ever connected with one of them. It's kind of unfortunate, because the potential for those are pretty good. And as you can see right there, I actually stunned him with the whip. And the whip is actually surprisingly decent at that. It's the same as a katana as far as its ability to do that. So on the 3rd hit, it will stun you. Aside from that, I believe it's got the same bleed buildup as a katana too. 33 per hit, I want to say. And man, that was a close fight. That was a close fight. Whew, I thought I had him there. I think if I was two-handing it, even though it doesn't get much of a bonus from being two-handed, I think it still has an E scaling with strength. So that probably would have given me like 10 more damage, which probably would have been enough for it. So yeah. Right there, get a nice little parry with the notched whip, and apparently there's something that a lot of people have been calling a burrito combo, where you can hit someone with the offhand weapon and then still manage to get the parry. I want to try that. It sounds fun. I don't know if the whip can do it because it's somewhat slow, but I want to try that. So, yeah, I'm going to have to give that a shot sometime. I think it's Peeve that sort of coined the term burrito combo. Not exactly sure why burrito, but I mean, burritos are pretty delicious, so I mean, I'm not going to complain. Although it does make me hungry pretty much every time I mention it. Now that aside, he's back to using a spear, and he also has the Balder side sword. And that's another weapon that I really can't stand fighting against, aside from the fact that everyone is always using the Balder side sword with a Leo ring and Sunlight Blade, Dark Moon Blade, or Crystal Magic Weapon, because that's what everyone always uses it for, because it's got such a fast swing speed. That's what they always use it with, just getting on that extra buff damage and R1 spamming you to hell. Aside from that, it's got a longer reach. Its R2 attack has a longer reach than the pike, which is just something that's interesting and not very well known. It actually has a longer reach than the pike, and that just makes me wonder, what the hell were the developers thinking giving the Balder side sword longer reach than the pike? I mean, come on. Let's be a little bit realistic. I mean, it is Phantom Reach, but it's pretty much guaranteed to hit with a R2 attack farther than a pike will. I don't know why. It's annoying though. I've run into some bad situations with that, and right there, I think I was about to try and put up my shield, and it didn't really work out for me. It's one bad habit that I've sort of gotten into when I'm dual wielding with this little setup now. It really doesn't end up working out for me so well, because I always forget I don't have a shield. So later on, when I do actually switch up weapons in my setup, and I do have a shield, I do quite a bit better, and it really sort of changes the pace of the duels. And really, this setup is something I kind of threw together, like, literally right before the match. So it was something relatively new and took me a little getting used to, but I think all things considered, I did pretty good at holding up against him with it. I mean, I can't really complain about my performance with this build, or with this setup, considering it was brand new, and even though I have used the Notched Whip and the offhand before, adding in the Gold Tracer and the Flamberge was something completely new to me. Also, the Red Tearstone Ring is my new best friend. I love that thing. And one thing I figured out, if you're using the Gold Tracer in the offhand and you have Red Tearstone on, and you do that attack where it hits them 3 times, that one little combo can do over 900 damage, which is insane. That's just completely ridiculous amounts of damage, because it happens so fast. I mean, yeah, you've got the Red Tearstone on, but that's a ridiculous combo. So I'm really hoping I can actually land it fully on someone. I landed it on someone earlier today and was able to get I would have been able to get all 3 hits off, but on the second hit they died from the bleed. So it did 300 and then like 700 damage and they were dead. So it's not like it mattered much, but in theory it would have been able to hit 900 if all 3 hits are equal. So just saying. And right there you can see I picked him up with another hit mid-roll, and there's a bit of a phantom hit on his end from that stab. But that's okay. No complaints, it happens. And yeah, just sort of getting at it still. I haven't switched up my weapons yet. I believe that's something I'm going to do quite soon, considering I do it. I know I do it at some point, I just can't remember when I do it. I'm thinking it's in either this coming fight, or the one after that. And right there you can see he tried to parry my whip, and you know, it happens a lot. People try and parry the whips, which is somewhat surprising. I don't see why. I mean, it's really frustrating for me because I like to parry, and I hate fighting against whips because I can't parry them. But on the other hand, they're relatively easy to fight against. I mean, you just have to be somewhat aggressive. Now, this fight, I decided to switch things up, go with a little heavier armor, and use the Silver Knight Straight Sword. And, man, of all of our fights, I gotta say that this was easily the most boring fight that we had. It was just, for the longest time, me chasing him, blocking his attack, following up and missing, and then repeat. That's how this fight went for the longest time, it seemed. Just so boring. I'm sorry that I included this, guys. I'm kind of sorry, but I said that I would include, when I first started doing this, I said that I would include every single fight in the match. No matter how painful it was to me, no matter how embarrassing or stupid I was, I said I would include every fight in a set of matches. So, that includes the boring ones, unfortunately for you guys. I'm sorry. He does a good job of dodging all my attacks, and I guess I do a good job of blocking all his, though, so it takes a very long time. And right here, we're getting close to the end. I got a little bit R1 spammy with the spear. I can kind of see why that happens to people. I mean, it just happens. And I don't know why I stopped moving at the end. I don't know why. I just stood there and took the hit. And after that, I finally switched up my weapons. And this was a pretty good fight, and I learned something about him. He hates fighting hellbeards because they're good at fighting against weapons he likes, being the Balder Side Sword and spears. He likes those and hates fighting hellbeards because the hellbeard is so good against them. Boom. Boom. Target destroyed. So, starting to switch up my weapons more and more and more. I actually have been messing around with the greatsword a little bit, and the way I actually started messing around with that, I was fighting a friend, and he was using a greatsword too. He was using a greatsword. And after our first fight together, I decided that I would use the greatsword in the next one against his greatsword. So I put on the Leo ring, and I fought him. And I waited until he went for an R2 attack. And as he did, I went for an R2 attack too. And lucky me, I was able to land a Leo ring counterattack with a two-handed greatsword R2 for 1200 damage. That was easily the highest I've seen with a Leo ring counterattack, and I think that's probably the highest I'll ever be able to get with a Leo ring counterattack. So, that being said, if I somehow do end up getting higher than that, I'll need to do some testing and find out what the max is with a Leo ring counterattack, I suppose. Might have to put on Power Within and use that, or a Red Tearstone Leo ring counterattack. That'd be good. That'd be interesting. Oh, that reminds me of back when I was first using the Leo ring and I started making the Iron Lion. And right before I made my Iron Lion build, I tried to make a build that used the Red Tearstone and the Leo ring. And it didn't work good at all, because I was trading hits and dying before my hit could land. It just didn't work good at all. In this fight against Willy, I was determined to land an R2 attack on him as a counter, and it really didn't work out at all, and he uses my favorite weapon against me, unfortunately. He used my favorite weapon against me. You know, I should have expected it, but oh well. I'm not too great with the great swords, but I get a nice little parry on him. That attack with the spear is pretty predictable, but I still wasn't able to block it that time. I guess I just couldn't make the timing. So yeah, it happens. Now he is, as I said, using my favorite weapon, so I decided to go with another one of my top 5 favorite weapons, the Lucerne. And really, the war pick is like a Lucerne that's shortened, so, you know, figured I might as well use the bigger version, I guess. Hopefully get some good damage out of it. And I did get a Leo ring counter. It did 670 some odd damage a few seconds ago. And right here, boom, to the face. Right to the face. I knew he was going to come in. I knew he was going to try and come in. And as soon as he saw me finish up the attack and start to swing for the second one, he was like, oh no. In the chat when we were talking. He was just like, oh no. And yeah, he knew what was coming his way. So again, I switched up weapons to yet another one of my favorites, the Gargoyle's Tail Axe. And man, this thing is awesome. For those of you who said that the showcase I did of it wasn't very good, just watch these fights that I use it in, because man, this axe is awesome. This thing is great. Just eating through a shield, getting those nice hits, getting all that damage. Ah, so great. Love this weapon. And I'm actually successfully able to use its R2 attacks in this fight, so that's something I'm pretty happy with. Right there, break his guard for the second time in the fight, and he does the little arm wavy thing. Gotta love killing people with weapons that have fire on them. Gotta love it. Gotta love the little arm wavy things and the noise that they make. It's so great. Yeah. That aside, right there, I get him with an R2. Get him again, as he was trying to roll past me. Didn't really work out for him. And really, these weapons are just so great in my opinion. It's really somewhat of a shame that people don't really experiment with weapons like this more. And right there, he went to block it, and the fire damage went right through the shield. Gotta love those buffs. Now, this fight is what led me to go a little bit crazy with my weapon selection. This fight, not that it was a bad fight or anything, but it kind of was late at night and it made me just a little bit crazy. Well, it didn't make me a little bit crazy. I've been crazy, but that's a story for another time. I just like to talk to myself. That's why I like doing commentary. I like talking to myself. And it makes me feel nice and warm and fuzzy inside and like I'm not crazy. Even though I am. But I like to tell myself that it's okay, because talking to yourself is good for you and all that stuff. As long as you don't answer your questions, which I do, and ramble on, which I do. Andrew, stop talking. Okay. Anyway. Jokes aside, this is what I was talking about with my weapon selection being a little bit crazy. Dual clubs, large club and great club. And it was actually surprisingly effective because of this right here. He went to back off and I was able to get him twice with a hit. And really, it's somewhat of an absurd way to do PvP, but after these matches I had with him, I went and took it just through the forest and went and invaded in there. And my god, people didn't know what the hell to do. It was priceless. They didn't know what to do. They were like, oh my god, he's got two massive weapons, what do I do? And then they just stand there and get pancaked. I mean, I'm not complaining about that, but I just think it's pretty funny people don't really know what to do when they see something strange like this. Yeah. That's enough of that. That's it. This is the last fight. I'm gonna go and let you enjoy the rest of it without me babbling on and on and on and talking to myself again and all that stuff. Thank you for watching. Check out his channel, and I'll see you next time.